It's the dawn of 2024 and you're poised for success. Why? Because you've established your why. This isn't just a whim or a hobby. It's the passion that propels you forward, the core of your ambition. Next, you assess your current position. Where do you stand? What are your strengths, your weaknesses? Honesty is key here. Now, envisage your destination. What do you want to achieve by the end of this year? Set those goals. Make them smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. With your destination locked, it's time to map out your plan. Break down your goals into manageable steps, then start stepping. Remember, action without reflection is aimless. Record your results, analyze your performance, and adjust your plan accordingly. The path to success in 2024 isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. Take meaningful action, keep your eye on the prize, and continually strive for improvement. Here's to a successful 2024.
Good morning. Welcome back to Vision 2024. Welcome Glenn and Wilhelm, three experts in the different fields that they are. Glenn is a Map for Life coach, Wilhelm is an energy coach, and I'm here as a business coach. So we're all here to help you actually understand your pursuit to purpose. So today this is part of a 5-part series, and today we are in part 3, and today we're looking at specifically the tools necessary that you need to pursue your purpose and discover what your purpose actually is. So what we're looking at is we're going to look at 5 different areas, and the first being the resources that are available to you on your journey. Now, as you all know, when we begin our journey on our pursuit for what our purpose is, in achieving our purpose, we have very limited resources. So we'll be looking at that. Next is to look at our inner and outer resources and define what those might be, because obviously we need a lot of energy, and Wilhelm's going to be talking about that. And then from the outside resources, Glenn's going to be talking a lot about that and actually understanding what those outside resources might be. Then we're going to look at the role of your vision. How does your role in vision play in actually making you achieve that purpose of your life? And then we're going to talk about communication and passion and how important that is. I'm going to relate a story to you as well. And this is a story about an actual person that's out there that's actually doing something about pursuing their purpose, so that you can actually get an understanding of what they're doing and maybe take your life and match it to that. And then lastly, what we're going to talk about is taking action and the importance of that. So I'd like to introduce Glenn. And Glenn, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us and the audience who you are? Over to you, Glenn.
Fantastic. Thank you, David. And welcome, Wilhelm. Welcome the listeners and watchers. We're watching and listening. Yes, Glenn is Jones. I do life and business coaching, also do counseling and mentoring. I also actually do freelance sales for Impact Radio as well. So I sell airtime. But my main focus and my passion is really the coaching that I do, and the coaching and counseling and mentoring. And I use a tool called Map for Life, which has been around for over 23 years. It's probably in over 90 countries worldwide already. An amazing tool. And it really works very effectively, specific around discovering your purpose. And so we'll be chatting around that today as well. So that's me. Thank you very much.
Wow, thanks, Glenn. Thanks for joining us again today. It's so good to have you here, to have your wisdom in respect of pursuing your purpose. Well, Helen, would you like to introduce yourself? Over to you.
Good morning, David and Glenn and everybody that is listening in. My name is Wilhelm Lombard. I'm a life energy coach. Now, what a life energy coach is actually a peak performance strategist. I help people to really unlock their potential in thinking more about energy, life energy. I believe that if you don't have the energy, if you don't have the energy to get out of bed in the morning, nothing will happen. But there's lots of different energy tanks that I usually focus on. And today we talk about purpose, and purpose is all about your spiritual energy tank. And but you get your physical tank, your mental tank, your emotional tank, social, work and finance, and all those energy tanks are quite important. And that's that's the balance thing, and it's not a work-life balance thing, but it's about how you can engage those energy tanks so that it will give you the best version of yourself, being the best version of yourself. So that is what I do. I love talking about energy, and I try my best to be energetic myself as well. Have a great energetic day, and let's go.
Thank you so much, Wilhelm. Great to have you here and have your energy available to entice us to actually really learn today. And so today is about learning and learning some tools. And the idea of this is for us to share a journey. So I'm going to start off with a story. And the story is actually of a person that I actually know. And he's actually is an amazing man. And one of the things that he does is that he's actually on a journey to basically ensure that clean water is accessible to all South Africans. And obviously, as we know in the issue, in South Africa and our failing municipality systems, we've got load shedding. We're actually experiencing load shedding right now. I've had to actually move to a restaurant where they've got a generator so that I can actually do the show, because where I normally do it in my office there's no electricity today. So, and it's a reality. So this is a dream that this gentleman, his name's Andrew, and he's going to do something, and he's actually busy doing it. So we're going to talk a little bit around that in relationship to these 5 points. So, as you know, in South Africa, clean water is not available to everybody, specifically in the smaller towns and in the rural areas. Luckily for some of us here in the urban areas, there is, water shops that actually purify water, but it's not everywhere. And some of it's actually getting quite expensive. So now Andrew's dream and his passion is to actually take water, clean it, and make it available to all South Africans. And I think this is amazing. This is his passion. This is what he wants to do. And this is his vision. So now what he's done is obviously he's got very limited resources. And because of that, he needs to do something. So his first step has to actually look at what resources he has at his disposal. And we all know that when we start any project that we have, a new business, we have very limited resources. So what has his approach been? Well, first of all, there's knowledge available, right? So what he's done is he's actually gone and learned about water, how to clean water, understand the marketplace. He's done a huge amount of research. And this is something that we can all do in our businesses. We can also do the same. We can actually go along and do a lot of research, understand what the market is, and understand what's available at the moment and what the potential of the market is. And then another very important thing is that he's gone along and shared his vision. So by sharing his vision, he's actually now anticipates to unlock the treasure troves of those resources that are available to him. And that is that there are other people around him that may have certain skills and knowledge that may help him to actually achieve his vision. So this is what he's doing. He's harnessing those resources, those limited resources, on his journey forward. So now the thing is that this is how he does it. And by taking his example, we can do the same with our own businesses. I'd like Glenn to open the discussion regarding this and talk about, from his point of view of Map for Life, how one would access those limited resources available to you. Over to you, Glenn.
Thanks, David. Very interesting subject, this, I must admit. And once again, it can be very controversial from our perspective. I must admit, I see things quite differently compared to a lot of people. And when it comes to resources, oftentimes we go looking outside for the resources, and that's necessary. It's also necessary, very necessary, and is required. However, we need to start looking within to look at the resources that we've got already. What have we got already that we can use and apply? And in terms of discovering purpose, I often look back at Proverbs 19:21, which says, "Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that will prevail." So for me, it's about discovering that purpose, that original intent that has been given to us. And if we discover that, it's far easier to discover the resources that's already inside us. And that's quite an important aspect. And I obviously always use the example of the pen. If a pen is created, why would the creator not put the ink inside it? And then we talk about a fountain pen, which normally comes with the ink together, and you have to physically put the ink in. And so special pens, that calligraphy and that type of thing. Okay. But the fact of the matter is the ink is available for you. If I just take that fountain pen as an example, we'll take the pen and we'll say, well, it's not working. I don't have the resources, but the ink is right next to you. You have to step up, take the ink and physically put it inside. Sometimes the resources are a little bit hidden inside us, and we need to just research and exactly what you spoke about earlier, do a little bit of research and find out and start asking a lot of questions, and you get to understand those resources within you already and start stepping in that line. The rest of the resources will start happening and taking place as you move in a direction. It's like a ship going into or sitting in a harbor. It's not going anywhere until you turn the engine and start turning it in a position to start moving out. And once you get out in the ocean, then things start happening. Okay, it seems so simple, but that's exactly what it's like. The resources would automatically start taking place. We often use the example of if you're thinking about a car that you'd like to purchase, and let's say it's a red BMW, okay, or a black BMW, and then you start seeing black BMWs everywhere. It's just a strange thing how that works, but that's exactly what it's like. And so the resource will follow automatically. If I'd just like to give one example before I finish, and most of you know the man called Nick Vujicic, no arms, no legs. He's got this little chicken leg, and he goes around doing all these talks and motivational speaking and that type of thing. That very idea of him saying, I don't have the resources, I don't have anything, I don't have arms, I don't have legs, I'm no good, I'm nothing, I'm not worthy. And yet look at him today. He's a man who has written books. He's spoken to thousands upon thousands, in fact, if not millions of people. People respect him. He has such an amazing potential inside him. And so oftentimes we look at the things that are wrong with us and not the things that are right. And that's an important aspect. That's me for now. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Glenn. And you're absolutely right. You know, looking at within yourself. And I think that brings us on to the next subject. But before we go there, I'd like to just ask Wilhelm regarding the energy that is so important that you need to have in order, and it's part of your resources, to have that energy within you to actually drive this thing forward. You know, driving something is what it's all about. Over to you, Wilhelm.
Yes, thank you, David. It seems the internet is a bit slow. I hope you can hear me well. The thing is, yeah, you know, it's all about that intrinsic motivation, that motivation from the inside. It's almost if you are dropped in a jungle without any resources, without a map. If you don't have purpose in your life, it's without a map. I mean, then you're stuck. That's why it's so important. And one must realize that your purpose starts within yourself. That's the energy from within. And that will then motivate you to go out. It will energize you to go out and look for the resources that you need to get to where you want to go because of that inner motivation. And one must start with yourself. So what's your passions? What's your value system all about? What's your strengths? And realize those things, think about those things. And the moment when you have those things in mind, it is as if things will open up a bit more. Now, to get to your real life purpose, it's not just smooth sailing. It's difficult. It's, as I said previously, you need to work through a lot of soil to get to the gold. But the thing is, if you got that inner energy, then it will take you there. Then you will not stop before you get to where you need to go. So that is why it is so important to get that motivation from the inside. Things outside can't really motivate you. Unfortunately, nowadays there are lots of other things, and people think about money and maybe position and all those other stuff, but that's not real purpose. It's maybe something that you want, but often we miss our real purpose because we look at the glitter and glimmer, and we think, oh my word, I want that, I want that. But that's not your real purpose. Sometimes it's not about the money and the position, it's about what you really need to do in life and what's the reason for your existence. So yes, that inner motivation, that gives you the energy to move forward no matter what.
Oh, good. Thanks, Wilhelm. You're absolutely right. That energy to carry on. I mean, some people, when you're doing something like this and you're so passionate, sometimes it requires you to actually work late nights and you need that energy. But let's go on to the next thing. And I think this is basically, balancing your inner and outer resources. I mean, this is really something that's so critical in what you do. So you need to understand the distinction between your inner resources, such as your determination, your expertise, etc., and then obviously the power of innovation. Obviously, your outside resources basically are those that are available to you from outside. Those are your, the people that are available, your financial resources, etc. So it's so important that you don't have burnout. And Wilhelm will talk a lot about this now. You can actually go down a road and you actually burn yourself out and then you give up. And you don't want to give up. Obviously, if you're pursuing this passion of yours, you don't want to give up. So it's very important to balance it. I'm going to hand over back to Wilhelm, and he'll talk about the importance of balancing your resources, especially your energy. Over to you, Wilhelm.
Thank you, David. Yes, you mentioned the fact that you need to burn the candle to pursue your purpose, and that is very true. But one must stay in balance. Now, I don't think there is really something like work-life balance, because what is work-life balance now? Actually, it's about balancing your energy resources, that energy tanks that I've mentioned earlier, and it's actually not balancing them, but keeping them full. You need to keep your energy tanks full. The moment when your energy tanks are full, then you can use that energy to be able to, like that aircraft, to power the engine. But there are different energy tanks in the wings, on top, at the bottom, wherever, and all the energy must flow to the engine to make it the best fighter jet or whatever it might be. And that is what happened with us, unfortunately. Unfortunately, we sometimes burn the candle and we don't think about, I need to sleep as well. I need to stay healthy as well. We sometimes have the energy to get out of bed and maybe the energy to spend our salary, but we don't have the energy to add value or do the work. We sometimes have the energy to work hard and do what we need to do, but we don't have the energy to communicate with our spouses and kids, maybe. And that is the thing. We need to understand what is energy balancing. And the moment when you understand that and you activate that energy tanks. Now, I find the one thing that really drains the energy is stress. Stress is a big energy draining factor. So I believe the number one skill today is really um, to master stress effectively and to build your resilience so that you can be ready for each and every challenge, so that you are up and running, going for it, see the challenges. And yes, of course, but the moment when there's a challenge, there's some energy needed, there's some stress and everything, but come back as soon as possible, be calm, fill your tank again, and keep your balance. And that's what I also see. Lots of people got their purpose, and they are entrepreneurs, and they move towards their goals, but and they got the plan, the business plan, but they don't have an energy plan. So along the way they burn out, and when you burn out, you can't do anything anymore. If you don't die with a heart attack or a stroke or bad diseases, then you will be, if you get to the point of burnout, for 2 years you will not be able to do anything. And in that sense, lots of people are actually missing their purpose in life, because after that it's almost like sports injuries. You just feel you are really tired, and you can't carry on. So don't let that happen to you. It's so important to make sure that your energy resources is always activated and your energy tanks are filled.
Thank you, Wilhelm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think Glenn can also talk a little bit about the power of balancing your inner and outer resources, especially from a Map for Life point of view. And using the Map for Life book, which I use extensively. You can see my book right here. There we are. So, Glenn, can you maybe give us some tips regarding the balancing of your inner and outer resources? Over to you.
Thanks, David, and thanks for Adam. Yeah, sorry, I just shifted over here because there's this blind behind me, but the light keeps on shining through, and I now got this halo over my head, so I'm very holy today. Yes, to answer the question,
the light is on you.
There we go. Spotlight on. The inner and outer resources. Andy Stanley says something very interesting. He talks often about leadership, and even John Maxwell, and both of these gentlemen talk often about that concept of, we try as business people to focus on our weaknesses and try and get them to be strengths. And we shouldn't be doing that. We should be focusing on our strengths and delegating out our weaknesses to other people, that they can actually do that they have the strength in that area. And that's one of the issues in terms of resources, using people around you, using a team, the right team around you. That's obviously outer resources as well. But as far as inner resource is concerned, is focus on the strengths that we have and run with that, because that's what you have. That's your gifts and talents. So that's quite important. As far as Map for Life is concerned, what we basically do is we obviously also talk about the so-called balance situation. However, I tend to agree with what Adam is saying. It's very difficult to have the so-called work-life balance all the time. It's just impossible. You can't have that situation. What you must do, however, is make sure that you're not going out of balance in a particular area and sticking with that area all the time for many, many years and leaving everything else and not touching on anything else. That's what I'm basically talking about. So a typical example would be where a man gets into a position, or women for that matter, into a position where they're running their own business. They get so focused on their business, they forget everything else. They forget their children, they forget their spouse, they forget everything else. And it's just work. Besides the fact that they can burn out and really get out of whack in terms of that, the fact is their children don't know them any longer. They don't have a relationship. They part ways, they end up in divorce, all kinds of things. And that's what's the important aspect for me, is to create that kind of balance, to make sure that you're getting on track with that. So it's not a case of getting 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, 20% in every single area. It just doesn't work that way. Okay. It's about spending that quality time and making sure you've mapped it out and actually putting habits in place to actually create that scenario around you. So as far as the resource is concerned, from an outward perspective, a tool like Map for Life works very, very well, because it creates those habits for you. It's a recording process. It's a methodology that's been working for many, many years, and it's a very simple process. You just step into the thing and work it, and it works for you. So you just got to stick with it. And it's about consistency at the end of the day. I think that's such an important aspect. A lot of people are good starters, but they don't finish because there's no consistency and the habits are not put in place. I can talk all day on this, but let me stop over there. I think that's enough for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Glenn. Yes, absolutely. So, I was talking about the story with Andrew, and I mean, basically, the fact that he's got a very balanced approach, basically in utilizing the different resources that are available to him. So, and one of the things that I must say, I must give him accolades on, is that he actually goes out there and, as Glenn said, you know, he identifies what his strengths are, but then he identifies his weaknesses and farms that part of the work that's needed to other people. And I think that's something that we all got to learn. You know, for example, I'm not very good at, I don't really like doing accounting. Um, and so I need to farm that out. I mustn't do it myself because I'm going to spend so much more time on it because I don't understand it. And also, not only do I not understand, I don't like doing it. So I'm going to take much longer to do it, and it's going to drain my energy, as Wilhelm said. I think the next thing that's so important, and this is from what Andrew's also doing, is the role of his vision in actually attracting resources. So one of the things I've learned in my life is when you go out there and you're actually talking about what you do and what you're passionate about, you actually attract people to it, and they say, "Oh, I'd like to be part of this. I'd like to be. How can I help you? I don't want to be left out." And this is the thing that one needs to do. So you need to really be passionate about what your role is and what you want to do and how you're going to do it, and then get other people, entice them, and get them also excited about actually doing the project with you. And I think this is something that Andrew does very, very well. Basically has a very clear and compelling vision, and then he articulates that very well to other people to tell them exactly what he wants to do, and that he wants to make sure that everybody in South Africa has clean water to drink. And through that, he's attracting people to come onto his team to say, yes, I'd like to help, or I can help with this, or I've got this resource, or whatever. So by using his vision, he's actually attracting, and you can do the same in your business, because by doing that, you can actually attract people into it. So let's go on to the subject. I'm going to ask Wilhelm to talk a little bit about this and having that passion to actually talk about it. Over to you, Wilhelm.
Yeah, thank you, David. You see, this is very important to have a vision, because only if you have that vision, you can communicate it to others. And it will give you then the clarity. If you see the picture where you want to go, this is my purpose, this is what I need to go for, then when you see that, it actually drives yourself, as I said, that inner energy. But also, now you start to talk about it. Now you start to act. You start to, sometimes they talk about the law of attraction. It's almost as if you become a magnet and you draw those resources towards you, because that is the only thing that you see, that you think about. I always think, when you sometimes buy yourself a car, now before you buy the car, you think you will be the only one with that color car and the only one on the road with that car. Till you got the car, then you see everybody got a car like that. And that's the same thing. It's not that the cars were not there. They were there, but you didn't see it. So the moment when you have the vision, although you are not there yet, it's just a vision. It's just in your mind. It's just your imagination. Then you start to open up your mind and you see what you never seen before. And you see some resources, and you see some pain points out there, some things that you can solve, some problems that you can solve. And through that, you start to add value, and then people will pay you for that. And then the money will come. So it always starts with your purpose, with your vision, with what difference can you make in the world? How can you help people? And the moment when you realize that, it is as if there's another energy that's unlocked in you and in other people. And then you achieve what your vision was. That's absolutely incredible and so powerful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Wilhelm. You're absolutely right. You know, I'm sure you've heard other people out there talking about what they want to do, and you know, it's about, oh, okay, I'm interested in that. Especially when you talk with that power of conviction, and that this is where I'm going. I mean, that's how big leaders and leaders get people to follow them. Is through the power of their visions and what they want to, what they aspire to, and their aspirations. And people get excited about that, and then they say, okay, I'm going to help you. I'm going to come with my resources, and I'm going to help you. Glenn, what is your view on this subject?
Well, again, I could talk the whole day on this subject. I really love this. For me, you know, vision is such an important aspect. I talk about the power of vision. You know, sight is a function of the eyes, whereas vision is a function of the heart and the mind. We often think vision is just something that we physically see in front of us, but vision is far more than that. Vision is something that's actually invisible to us at the moment, but we see it in our mind's eye. We see the future. It's a perception of your future. It's a perception, and it's looking into your purpose, really. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. If you really sit down and really focus, and that's one of the aspects that most people tell me when they say, but I don't get visions, I don't have vision. Then I say to them very practically, just sit down with a blank piece of paper and sit and relax with a good cup of coffee, maybe some music playing in the background, and just think about things that you really enjoy, things that you'd love to do. Think in 3 years' time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, where would you like to be? And then start making notes in it. And that's the start. The visions will come. Trust me, it will. It's just the way it works. Leverage for me is such a powerful tool. To me, it's like leverage. We are all going to go through challenges and issues in life. There are going to be problems. Like, for example, the lights at the back of me again has changed, so I'm going to change back to the side again. Okay, there we go. That looks a bit better again, eh? The leverage, what I'm talking about is the fact that if there's a massive rock in front of me and I can't budge this thing, I just don't have the strength to do it. I use leverage, a pole or a log or something, to actually shift that thing. It's mathematics, science, call it what you like, but you can actually move that rock through leverage. And that's the idea behind it. It's about using your vision as leverage to move you forward, because you're going to go through challenges, you're going to go through problems in life. The other issue is enthusiasm. If you really see that vision, understand it, and fully grasp it, you have such incredible enthusiasm that also will drive you forward. And when people see that, they will follow you as well. So that's also an important aspect. Let me leave it. Oh, maybe I can just say one other thing. I think a lot of people struggle in terms of seeing this vision. They possibly see the vision. I wonder if I do that there. Okay, there we go. If they see the vision, but then they come back and they're sitting in the position where they are right now, and they go, it's just too much. I don't know how to do that. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't even know what the first step is. The fact of the matter is they don't have a problem with the vision. They have a problem with depth perception. In other words, the vision is too far in the future for them. They can't understand it. And what they need to do is, once again, come back to now, write down those ideas and concepts, maybe speak to general people, and people that'll be prepared to support you, not people that'll put you down and tell you, biggest load of rubbish, man, it doesn't work. Okay. People that encourage you and take you further, and that will drive you forward again into that first step that you need to take, because that's ultimately what it means. It's just taking that first step. Take that first step, and then what's the next step? Take the step. What's the next step? Take the step, and moving towards that vision. It really does work, and it's fascinating how things can actually pan out and what can happen. Quick story: a gentleman in an economics class has this amazing idea about overnight mail, and there was nothing like it in the world at that point in time, many years back. He writes a paper, hands it into the professor. A week later, gets the paper back. The professor's given him a C, and he's written next to it, "Do not dream of things that cannot happen. Do not dream of things that cannot happen." That young man went out to become the owner and CEO of Federal Express. Use the vision. Use it as leverage to power you forward. You can do it. Thank you.
Wow, what a powerful story. Um, you know, just relating that back to Andrew, I mean, one of the things that he does is he sees that his vision is not just but a dream, but a call to action. And that call to action resonates with other people's aspirations to make a better future. And it's actually a magnet
It seems David are freezing. It's
He's
cold there.
frozen. He must be in Antarctica or something. Eh?
Yeah.
I
I
think
can
he's
just say, Glenn, while you were talking, yeah, it's so important. You know, there are always those people. I call them crabs. You know, when the
yes.
That
crabs are in
actually
this
to
container, and then the one crab wants to get out of this container, and the other crabs are just grabbing him back.
That's
And one
exactly.
must realize there are people like that
Yeah,
that they don't see what you see. They don't
exactly.
have the vision, and they sometimes they are not bad people. They just want to take care. You know, I know a story of another guy. He actually had a stroke, and he was totally paralyzed. Young, he was still, I think he was 38 or something like that, and he was
Oh,
totally paralyzed for a couple of years.
wow.
And then they built this bionic or whatever chair, like a robotic, like a thing, and he strapped that suit on, and then he could actually walk sort of. But now the day when they launched this thing, he was he
I'm
was
back.
I, David, I'm just telling a story quickly. Finish the story.
Sure, sure.
Okay, this guy now his mother was also there with this launch when he was now in this chair, or rather in the suit thing, and then he wanted to get out of this chair with this thing helping him to walk now. And the mother was sitting there in another chair, and while he was actually battling and sort of falling back and come up again, she was sort of tackling him from that side back into his chair and said, "My son, don't do this to yourself. You will never be able to walk again." Now, today, well, he walked. He got a sort of a little bit of a I say wheel alignment problem, but he walked. I mean, he's
Exactly.
actually normal. And
Amazing.
just imagine if he listened to his mother, that she loved him, she just
Exactly.
don't want him to hurt himself.
That's
But because of that, uh, if he listened to her, he would have not be able to walk today. So
yeah,
yeah, thank you. That was just to share that story
amazing.
of people that are actually pulling you down and not supporting you always, even if they don't mean to do you harm. You know.
Sure.
Sorry, David,
Mm.
you can carry on.
No, 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 absolutely. Your story reminds me of, if you want to be a pigeon, be with pigeons. If you want to be an eagle, be with eagles.
Sure.
You're the average of the five people that you're with. So, if you're associating with people who are, for example, millionaires, you'll be a millionaire. And if you want to associate with people that are billionaires, you'll be a billionaire. So it's really up to you where you want to be, and who you want to associate with. But that's another story for another day. Let's continue our story, and I think the next item, I don't know how much you heard of me. Apologies for that. I was taken off the internet, load shedding, etc., etc. But I think I'm back now. So, as I was saying, just to complete the last section, was that with Andrew, basically his dream, his vision is not just a dream. It's a call to action that resonates with other people's aspirations. And I think that's what you need to do with what you are doing in your life. You need to actually, if you're, in at work, or you're in your vision, or whatever it might be, you know, and you want to inspire your team or other people, you need to actually have that sort of like, it must be a call to action to inspire and to the aspiration of the others for your what you want to achieve in whatever it is. So that's a really important point. Let's go to the next item, and I think this is where Andrew, coming back to Andrew's story, is so powerful. He's so good with communication. Um, you know, one of the things that he does that is incredible, and this works for him, and it actually does work in the industry. If you want people to buy from you, or you want to sell a product, or you want people to come to your event or whatever, the most important thing is to phone them or contact them and say, hi, how are you? Talk to them a little bit, speak to them about what's happening in their lives, and then say, oh, would you like to come to this event, or would you like, or have you thought about this, or whatever. By actually speaking to people, it's so much more powerful than sending an email or SMS or a WhatsApp, etc., etc. So the power of communication is really important. But when you combine that with your passion, it's a totally different story. And because people aspire to what you're doing, and they get really excited. So let's ask. Let's go back. Let's go to Glenn. Ask Glenn from his point of view on communication and talking about your passion and getting your passion across to people. Over to you, Glenn.
Thanks again, David. You know, oftentimes I speak to people and I ask them about what they do, and then they tend to tell me that whole long story. And by the time the end of it comes out, actually, I'm still not 100% sure what they do, and it becomes a bit of a problem for me. So what I say to people as far as this is concerned, as far as communication passion is concerned, is that you need to be in a position where I can literally wake up at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning and say to you, what do you do? And immediately it'll come out your mouth, and literally within 30 seconds, you can give me your pitch of exactly what you do. That's how it needs to be in terms of your passion and your desire. So if you can get to that point and articulate it to that extent, then I really believe it can work for you, because that's the idea. It's about bringing across a message to people, especially if you want to build a team, to get people around you that are really going to follow you. You need to articulate it correctly and bring across that message in such a manner that there's enthusiasm, there's excitement, and they're going to go, I want this as well. That they create that amazing, incredible vision. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much about it for me. That's one of the most important aspects for me. I think we're going to run out of time over here, so because we've got another point to work on, and Willem also needs to chat. So let's leave it at that. Thanks.
All right. Thanks very much, Glenn. Well, Helen, over to you.
Oh, thank you, David. As I've mentioned before, if you start to talk about what your passion is, and of course, you don't need to flood people with your story, but listen to them first, and then share with them what your story is. But always ask them first, because people like talking about themselves. But if you if you communicate your passion and you communicate what you would like to do in life, then you actually listen to yourself and you formulate your purpose in your own mind, and you get closer and closer to what you should do in life. So talking with yourself, remember 90% of communication is self-talk. So talk to yourself, but also talk to other people, and bounce it to other people and hear what they say. And that will your purpose will develop like a photo. It will becomes clearer and clearer and clearer as you share it with other people as well. But share it with the right people that will support you, not those people that actually want to stop you doing what you need to do. So it's also important to share it with the right people.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the things that we're doing this evening on LinkedIn Audio, you can come and join us, is to actually do we teach you how to actually do a 30-second pitch, and how you actually incorporate the various aspects of yourself and your business and what your needs are and your call to action all into basically 30 seconds. Now, 30 seconds might sound like a very short time, but if you can actually do that, and you're stuck in the elevator and you're going up to the third floor, by the time you hit the third floor, you would have actually been able to tell everybody in the lift what you do, and they'll have a very clear understanding of who you are, what you do, how you can help them, help their pain points, and actually how to get hold of you. So come on and listen at 8 o'clock this evening at Pitch Practice online. You can go to Pitch Practice online and listen to that, and come on board and listen to that. But let's talk about the next thing that's so important. And, without actually doing this, you are not going to go anywhere. And that is by taking action. Now, one of the things that Andrew's done, coming to Andrew's story again, is he's actually taken action. It's not just talk. He's actually gone ahead and actually identified, okay, this is what I need to do. He's put a plan together. And this is where Glenn comes in with his map for life. Map for life for me, which I'm using, is so powerful because I can actually now map my life forward. I can identify what I need to do, and I can actually identify the small steps. If you are given a whale to eat, it's impossible, right? But if you go and cut up the whale into small little pieces and you put the rest in the fridge and you eat a little bit every day, not that I want to eat a whale, but anyway. But if you cut it up into small pieces and you eat it, by the end of the year, you would have eaten that whole whale. And it's the same story with whatever you want to achieve in life. Go along, identify, cut it into small pieces, and do it. But let Glenn explain this because he's the Map for Life coach and he understands exactly how to do it. Over to you, Glenn.
All I can say, David, is that's a whale of a story, eh? Pardon the pun there. Yes, we obviously use Map for Life as that tool to actually discover purpose. It really is a tool that's been designed to actually do that. And the process that you work through will actually get you to that purpose. If I look at the 5-step methodology, it's about establishing your position. So like taking a snapshot of where you are right now. The next step is determining a destination, where we actually go through a whole brainstorming process. And that comes down to this taking action, where a lot of people have got ideas and thoughts, but they've pushed it aside because of things that they've thought of. For example, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the skill and knowledge. And those things block them all the time in terms of moving forward with that vision and idea. Whereas with the Map for Life process, we actually push through that and we say, write down ideas irrespective. Don't concern yourself with that. That will come as a natural result as you move through the process. But typically what we found is as people work through this process, they have these aha moments and they realize that that's what it is. That's the purpose. That's where I need to move on. And it might not be absolutely clear at that point in time, but 90% of the time people get to a point as they work through the process where they go, I really believe that's what it is. And they start stepping into that. And the action steps and the habits and everything that you need to move you forward is part of that Map for Life process. It's literally within the book that you can actually use on a daily basis, and it guides you through that step. So it really is an amazing tool. I think one of the other things that I think Valena mentioned is getting around people as well that can support you, that will encourage you, and that also will have higher visions than you, that have more than you in terms of knowledge and all that kind of thing. Because if you're around those people, you start picking up ideas and concepts that you probably thought beforehand not possible. Whereas you've seen people that are actually doing things that it is possible, and it creates a possibility event for you as well. So just thought I'd add that as well. Okay, thank you. Oh, by the way, don't forget, 6th of April, our function again. You've got to be there, Casablanca Manor. We're going to be talking about all these aspects and actually doing practical things around it as well. So make sure you're there. Thank you.
I love that. There was like a radio thing. Glenn does some work for Impact Radio. So if you need some radio advertising, get hold of Glenn. He's fantastic at that. One of the things that, obviously, as Glenn has introduced Casablanca, we have a whole program that we run on. It's a workshop. It's an interactive workshop. It's basically at Casablanca. It's from 8 o'clock in the morning. Meet, greet, and then we start at 8:30 sharp. And then we go until about 2 o'clock. There's lots to eat, but the main thing is actually feeding your soul and actually feeding that inside part of you so that you can actually walk away from that and have tools that you can actually activate your vision and make sure that you actually achieve what you want to do in this year. That's why we call it Vision 2024. We want you to be able to achieve what you've set out to do. Now, a lot of us make New Year's resolutions. We come along and by, the first week of January or second week of January, they're out of the window already because life hits us. And we just go back to what we've been doing because we are habitual people. We like habit. We go back and do what we were doing before because it's too hard to change. And that's why we have New Year's resolutions, because we want to change. But what we do at Vision 2024 is actually teach you how to change, now what tools to use to ensure that You don't live this year like you did last year or the year previous to that. You know, they always say, you know, how many years experience you have, and a guy will say, no, I've got 20 years experience. Do you have 20 years of 1 year's experience or 20 years of progressive cumulative experience? What do you have? And this is what we're about. We're making sure that you have cumulative experience and the cumulative goals that you achieve, and build on that and build your life. And that's what we do. So come to Casablanca, come and join us. And it's a fantastic day. Us three will be there. And we teach you the tools from 3 different perspectives. So it's not just like having one coach there. It's actually having 3 different coaches coming from 3 different aspects on one subject. And that's what makes it so interesting. Like we're doing here, and we're talking about your getting your passion and getting your purpose in life and finding it. 3 different aspects coming in. I'm going to ask Wilhelm to talk about communication. That's so important, and being able to communicate with passion what you want to achieve in your life. Over to you, Wilhelm.
Well, David, I've actually already touched on the communication thing, except if you want me to replay that little part. But we are on the planning and taking action. With this in mind, what you've mentioned, Glenn, on the 6th of April, when we get together, then we really take some action, and to share this knowledge and experience that we have. You must remember we got about 180 years of experience between, if we add up our experiences. But the main thing for me is that the people that are usually there with this, their experiences, and they share with us as well. And the funny thing is that we all learn. Even us, we learn. I learn quite a lot every time when we are together there. So we are not just trying to tell you what to do. We learn from you and we share with one another. So bring somebody along. It's dirt cheap. I mean, it's really a bargain. The food that you will get, if you don't hear anything that what we share with you, then you will still have value for your money. But come to that day, and then we discuss different aspects, and we really enjoy it. And it's a very energetic day, full of knowledge, full of fun, full of sharing. So I can't wait you guys to be there, to meet you, and to take action. Now, from my perspective, as I said, I'm a peak performance strategist, or then life energy coach, to really help people to understand their energy, and how important that energy tanks are, and what are the things that might block your energy. So I will share some ideas there too, and practical things and easy to understand. We really try to keep it simple, and at the end of the day, you will walk out there with new things and maybe old things. It's almost like taking a bath. We can't take a bath once a year and now we are clean for the rest of the year. You need to clean up every day. And that is what this is all about, to come again, to clean up, to think a bit new again, and just be ready for the rest of this year. The year is going like crazy. We are already almost in the 4th month. So let's go. So I really can't wait to see you guys there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wilhelm. So those of you who would like to go along and read the story of Andrew, you're most welcome. There's going to be an article posted in about the next half an hour onto our Vision 2024 program on our page on LinkedIn. And it's paving the way forward. You can go along and read his story and identify how you can use his inspiration for your own inspiration and take your purpose and your passion forward. So thanks very much, guys, for being here. Then also we've got the event, as we said, at Casablanca. We'll post that into the link as well. Come and join us there. And then next week, we'll be doing week 4. So we'll be talking about overcoming challenges in finding purpose. Now, as we know, we can all have clear goals, right? But then life comes on the side and goes ching, 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 and throws us off course. And this is something that Glenn talks about. If you've got a ship and you've put your course on a certain direction, you just change it by 1%, you'll never reach your destination. By the time you get to where you're supposed to be, you'll be miles off course. So we'll be talking about how to overcome those challenges in finding your purpose. We'll be talking about identifying those challenges, identifying internal barriers that you might be experiencing. We'll be talking about external barriers. We'll be talking about resilience and being able to adapt. And then we'll also be talking about seeking support and how you can do that. So it's going to be really interesting. And then the week thereafter, we're going to be talking about living your purpose. And there's a whole lot of aspects around that as well. So keep in contact with us. And if you want to, obviously go back. You can listen to the previous sections. Go and listen to those. But I'd like to say thank you to Glenn and Wilhelm for joining us today. It's live, the sun's shining. And enjoy your day and have a great day. And just remember, follow those who've been successful and identify how they've been successful. So there we have it. So thanks, guys, and see you next week, same time. Go along and look at our. By the way, on Tuesday, Glenn puts out his Tuesday twist, and Wilhelm puts out his thing on a Wednesday, and I do a motivational Monday. So if you want to go and join those and have a look at those, please do support them, share them, repost them, comment on them, love them, and so on. So thanks, guys. Take care, and we'll see you next week. I'm going to play the video quickly. And thank you. Bye.
Picture this. It's the dawn of 2024 and you're poised for success. Why? Because you've established your why. This isn't just a whim or a hobby. It's the passion that propels you forward, the core of your ambition. Next, you assess your current position. Where do you stand? What are your strengths, your weaknesses? Honesty is key here. Now, envisage your destination. What do you want to achieve by the end of this year? Set those goals. Make them smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. With your destination locked, it's time to map out your plan. Break down your goals into manageable steps, then start stepping. Remember, action without reflection is aimless. Record your results, analyze your performance, and adjust your plan accordingly. The path to success in 2024 isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. Take meaningful action, keep your eye on the prize, and continually strive for improvement. Here's to a successful 2024.